Right, let's start in KZN, where there seems to be better communication between government and the funeral services sector in that province. This follows a meeting between task team for burials and funeral homes. The sector raised issues of dragging of feet in funding burials by government. Let's get the latest now from eNCA reporter Lindokhule Xulu. Lindo, do you have any conclusion as to how that meeting between government and the association went?
Well, that meeting has just ended. We understand there was a meeting that began at about 12 noon, just to talk about some of the issues, around the burials in KwaZulu-Natal for flood victims. We do know that there was a press briefing by the association forum of these funeral parlours, essentially going into details of some of the issues that they've faced in terms of trying to bury loved ones. One of the shocking detail was that in this past weekend that we came from, the prediction going into it was that there wouldn't even be more than 50 funerals that would be, conducted or held, and this is because of government dragging its feet in terms of, releasing some of those funds that are set aside for these families to try and bury their loved ones. But like I said, there is a meeting. It's one of the things that the funeral parlours have been calling for. And in fact, I just want to go into this particular interview straight to Mama Unomfundo Ngoyi, just to give us a sense really in terms of what are some of the improvements that you've seen. We understand you just came from a meeting, but just explain to us in terms of what has been improved since the last time you held a press briefing.
There's been great improvement. We are having daily meetings with the Premier's office, eThekwini Municipality, the Motsepe Foundation, which are funders as well, and it's going very, very well, where we're discussing everything regarding burials of the flood victims. So that will avoid all the unnecessary delays. Everything is going so smooth, and I'm hoping for better this week.
Yes, I wanted to go into that because the last time when we spoke, it was towards this weekend that we just came from, and as I had mentioned, the prediction was that it's not even going to be more than 50 funerals that would have been held, and this is because of these issues that you're saying are being ironed out. Is there any improvement then? What do you predict will happen in terms of the number of families that will be able to lay their loved ones?
We're going to see improvement this week. There'll be lots of burials this week. The forensic department is releasing more bodies, and the payments have been done by the Motsepe Fund. The municipality is working together with all the undertakers and the premiers in discussing how burials should be done. There are no delays at all. The only issue we have is still the one of graves. Grave sites, they're still not giving them for free to families. So we're still just pleading with the department and the government to issue those to families. But everything is going so smooth. I promise families there will be more burials this week.
Right. I want to go into the details and specifics of some of the things that have been discussed, because the last time we spoke, there was that issue of graves to say that they must be made available for families free. We know that municipalities are communicating with the task team that is set up to try and sort out some of those issues. But what are some of the issues that still remain? Because I do remember as well that the money that was set aside for families to actually be able to conduct this, you had some concerns around this amount of money. You were not consulted in terms of those monies, but are municipalities chipping in? What is the current status then of those monies that are given to families?
The money that is paid for a burial is still 20,000 for one member of the family. If there's another member, Motsepe is paying 10,000 towards that member, and the eThekwini municipality is topping up for that. For all the shortfalls, they are topping up, and we are grateful for that. And then one thing that still stands, it's still the issue of catering, still the issue of graves, still the issue of transport, because some of the families, they're not from around. But at least we are starting somewhere. We are seeing burials being done, and there'll be more this week, depending on weather being good to us. We're hoping for more burials.
Right, and just a last question from myself. In terms of the state of the bodies, we do understand that they are not in a good state. Obviously, funeral parlours are trying all they can to preserve what is being presented to them. But in terms of anything further than these 2 weeks, what is the situation we are looking at?
It's really, really bad. We have a family that lost 10 members of the family. We only found 6. 6 were recovered there in our cooling facilities, and 4 are still not found, and we don't know what's going to happen. Some were found yesterday. It's really, really bad, but we have all the chemicals and everything to work on the bodies so that families can have closure with the family. We need to do what we do best as undertakers and make sure they see their loved ones in a good state. But yeah, going forward, I just pray all bodies are found on time, because it's really not looking good.
All right, we'll leave it there for now. Thank you so much, Mfundo Oyi from iCebo, just giving us a sense really of some of the issues that they are facing, but more than anything, it's about the concern of ensuring that while there is this movement from government, while we understand there are daily meetings now that are being held, the problem now becomes the fact that for other families, they are still waiting to find the rest of the remains of some of the family members perhaps that are still missing. So those are some of the things that they are saying they are dealing with, but they are saying that they are happy at the response from government to say after their press briefing, at least they were able to then invite them into the table, and there seems to be some movement then in terms of that regard to try and get these families to a finality in terms of this grieving process and finding closure.